Okay, got it. Okay, so firstly, I wanna thank Jordana Bukharov. She's not on probably, but she gave me Kathy. I think you guys are friends. And I, as always, feel very, very privileged to share another incredible Jewish woman who has taken her talents and her beauty and has just expressed it and shared it with other Jewish women. So it's always such an amazing, humbling experience for me. So Kathy Orah Shahkoohi, is that right, Kathy? Am I saying it right?
It is. Shahkoohi.
Okay, is a psychotherapist, master hypnotherapist, and healer in private practice in Great Neck and Brooklyn, New York. She facilitates workshops on meditation and self-hypnosis to groups all over the country. She also facilitates cacao ceremonies and psychedelic therapeutic journeys, as well as integration. And I've heard that's becoming a very big thing in the religious community. She is a wife and a mom of 5 children, Baruch Hashem. So I feel, first of all, Kathy, where's that last name from?
So my husband and I are both Persians. We're from Iran.
Oh, you are. You know, we've been davening for that boy. We daven for that boy every single day. We've actually like been getting together. We got together in the beginning and really davening strongly for him. Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything. In the beginning, it was just very imminent. You know, there were a lot of Tehillim groups in the community, and people were just like so desperate. Something did come up, and somehow things just got disconnected. In other words, things got on hold. But since then, we haven't heard anything. So we're not sure exactly what he's up to now.
Well, anyways, we are so grateful to have you.
Thank
you. Kathy and I are going to have like a back and back discussion, but I think she's going to start just by introducing herself and doing some sort of meditation. And then we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask Kathy some questions, and she's going to bring us into this filling up our heart during these times and how we should go about doing this. So, okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me here. It's wonderful to be here with you, beautiful ladies. And from what Naomi was describing to you, it feels like I may have just found my new tribe. So I'm really grateful to be here. I'm Kathy Orah Shahkoohi, and I'm a psychotherapist in private practice. I do one-on-one psychotherapy work as well as group work. I run meditation workshops. I do cacao ceremonies, and I'm not sure if anyone has heard of cacao. Cacao is a beautiful plant which has a lot of healing benefits. I do apologize, by the way, I was supposed to be on my computer. Somehow I can't figure out the audio on my new computer, so I ended up on my phone, and I'm not sure if you could see me well or hear me well. I will try to speak up. So that's pretty much what I have been up to for the past, I would say, 10 plus years. Cacao ceremonies are pretty recent to me. I've started doing them for the past year and a half. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what I do, what I occupy my time and my energy with. So Naomi, should we do a meditation now, or should we do it towards the end?
What do you feel? Like, do you want to start talking and then go into the meditation, or do you want to start?
I want to get a little bit deeper into, introducing what it is that I do, what my beliefs are, what I'm bringing to the world, and what you may want to hear. So let's do that first, and then towards the end, we could just finish off with a very relaxing somatic meditation.
So what I wanted to ask you, so your topic is really opening the heart during these very heartbreaking times that we're all living in collectively and even individually. I think there's so much individual angst right now and so many things that people are facing. So what is it exactly? What do you exactly mean when you talk about opening the heart?
Yeah, so that's a very broad subject, of course. as humans, we have a heart, we have so many other organs, and if they're all, when they're all working properly, Bezat Hashem for everyone, we are functioning wholly and fully and beautifully. What I have found in my practice, working as a psychotherapist for several years, is that many people, unfortunately, walk around with closed up hearts. Their heart chakra is very much closed up, especially now because of what's been happening since October 7th. I would say specifically since COVID, and then followed by October 7th, which was obviously very traumatic for most of us, especially us Jewish women. I don't know any other demographic that's been so much affected by October 7th, right? Rather than us Jewish women. And we do tend to close up the heart. We do tend to go into that protective mode when these kinds of things happen. So opening up the heart is a beautiful way of connecting to ourselves, our inner selves, our higher selves, and obviously to the creator, to Hashem. And so this is pretty much what I mean. It's kind of like coming out from an anxious mode into an open, more expanse, more accepting, more going with the flow kind of state of being. I don't know if that answers your question. It is more of a practice. It is more of a practical approach. It's more of something that we can do rather than what we can talk about, because we could talk about opening hearts forever, right? But until we actually get into it and practice and get into our heart and fully feel into our heart, fully feel into what it is that's coming up for us, whether we view those things as negative or positive or in between or traumatic or beautiful, right? Because all of these emotions and all of these things really exist within our hearts. And we can have all of them coexisting all at once within our heart. So I would say the art and the practice is being able to fully engage in holding space for whatever it is that's coming up in the heart, whatever it is that we feel, because we do feel in the heart. The heart is the organ for feeling, right? So the mind is the computer, right? The mind is for thinking. The heart is for feeling. And so we can work so much with the mind, and we could do all the coaching in the world and all the therapy in the world, but until we're actually able to somatically tap into the heart and the energy of our heart and understand and hold space for the emotions that come up for us, that we can actually integrate being who we actually even are.
So are you saying, Kathy, basically that we have to be able, rather than closing off the emotions because of the trauma or because of the fears or because of all these different things that are difficult for us to, especially, the Jewish people, we've had trauma after trauma, right? I think the hearts have been closing for a very, very long time. And also, I think because of the things that we're told, how we have to behave and how we have to be, and the way we should be acting and giving up and giving in and all those different things, which I don't believe in. And so therefore you're saying feel and confront and be in the feelings. And that is the way we open up the heart. And that's the way we get out of our heads and we start to heal. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Not only feel, but experience it. Allow for the experience to come through the heart. And sometimes it's not even just the heart. It's also the other organs. It's the liver, it's the kidneys, it's the female organs, right? It's the mind. Sometimes we have a racing mind and we can't feel into our heart. So we need to really be able to engage with all of our senses and all of our being and all of the organs and all of the different body systems to be able to see what it is that's happening within us. And yes, there is a lot of transgenerational traumas, right? Things that are passed on to us without even us realizing. I mean, us Jews, we have so much traumas from the beginning of time, right?
Right.
from the
I know.
beginning of time, it's been one execution
Trauma.
after another, and one trauma, and all of it. And we're, it's all being passed on to us genetically, whether we want it or not. And even in this lifetime, even me myself, I'm sitting here, I'm an immigrant. I immigrated at the age of 14. I had to leave everything behind, not even being able to say goodbye to my friends, and just vanishing overnight, and being in transition for months, and finally getting to America, not speaking the language and not knowing what's flying, and having to acclimate. And that, all of that is trauma. And the more I do this work, the more I realize that it's been so much a part of my experience. And sometimes we want to shut these things out. Sometimes we don't want to feel them. Sometimes we go into that mode of, let me just put this past behind me and not feel it, not pay attention to it, not see what it's about. And what I'm proposing is, let's go into it. Let's see what comes up, and let's see what comes up somatically, because we are humans. We do have a body, right? We're not malachim, and we're not animals. We're humans. We're the most sophisticated beings on this planet, right? And we need to go into the body somatically to feel. We have feelings for a reason. We have senses for a reason, right?
It's so interesting you say that, because, it's so interesting because I think that a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety and a lot of even physical ailments come because we hold everything in our bodies. We hold the stress. We hold the stress. We hold the fears. We hold the trauma. We hold the anguish, the tsar, and it's really, really hard because, as a God-fearing Jew, right? It's like you try to balance by seeing what you see, with your humanness.
Yes.
Of saying, like, I don't get it sometimes, right? With your humanness, because we're just human, with working on your being to become more of your full self. And it's all like it's almost like a balancing act. And I think it's so important, especially for this generation, to really start connecting to the heart. Because I think once we can allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to feel and to be in those places of feeling, that we can really become who we're meant to be. We're authentically, and not be in this angst and this disharmony of always fighting because we're so afraid of really feeling what we're feeling. I think it's so important. I know for me, and I know I'm sharing this, publicly, but I know for me that has been one of the most important things. It's almost to be given the permission to be authentically me without being afraid of feeling this feeling or feeling that feeling, and not feeling good enough because I feel that feeling, or not being this perfect human, that we all strive to be, but allowing myself to feel it and taking responsibility for that feeling, taking responsibility and being okay in that feeling. And I think it's such an important thing.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. I feel like that's something a lot of women can relate to. I myself relate to that, and I have a lot of clients that I work with that, that can relate to this. We want things, we want to do things, and somehow we get stopped, and we get stuck, and we can't move on, and we can't move fast, and we can't get things done, and we want to be perfect. And no one's ever perfect, because we're never going to be perfect, right? So we kind of get stuck there. And the fact that we show up, right, through responsibility, through allowing the excitement, the anxiety, the fear, all of that to just come into play, and just owning it, making space for it, owning it, seeing it, feeling it, and yet being able to move past it. And that's what healing is, right? Healing is not what everybody says. Like, everybody will come to me and say, heal me, or I just want to be healed. Or healing is not something that happens once. Healing is a journey that begins when we're aware of where we want to go, and we take responsibility, and we go through the process of understanding ourselves and going through the motions and the emotions and doing what it is that we want to do at the end of the day. And that's how healing begins. We're never fully healed. No one's ever fully healed, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because life is a journey. Life is
Yeah.
a journey. Life is a journey. Right. But at least I think what it really is, Kathy, is learning to live more fully, right? More fully of who we are. The more that we can heal and the more that we can sit in these places of who we really are and our true feelings without being afraid, is that you start to live really fully. And I've told this to the group many, many times that the Steipler Rebbe used to say that most people live 15% of who they are. Most people, most of them are under the ground. And it's like as you get older, like you cherish that more, that idea, because you want to live more fully, you want to live more authentically, and I think part of it is, I don't know, for me it's like write a bucket list, and talk and take the steps, start taking the steps towards the things that you want to accomplish and you want to do, and believe in yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Or find someone that will show you how to believe in yourself, right? Because we can tell ourselves, I believe in me and I believe in me. And we can have our children and our spouses or our friends tell us, but until we're actually shown, right? Especially when we're not shown as growing up, we're not shown as children, right? If we've missed that, then how do we actually believe in ourselves? What is it that we need to believe in ourselves, right? What does it even mean? Right? I can believe that I am capable. I can believe that I am not my traumas, that I am not my experiences, right? I can believe that I actually have a soul. Many people are not aware that they're actually a soul in a body.
Right.
We all see ourselves as a body. I'm my
Kathy, we're losing you.
My, style. I am my job. I am my right? We have a soul. And until we're actually able to get within the soul level and understand who we are on a soul level and what we're aligning ourselves with, we would just be stuck. Because we could just tell ourselves, and we can also like beat ourselves into submission. I find that a lot of people have parts within themselves that like to beat them into submission, like, hello, like you got to do this, or you have to do this, or what's wrong with you, or like they have that critical voice that kind of gets them to get things going. And so what I find is, how do we tap into that compassionate voice? How do we tap into that self-compassion, which we all have within ourselves, which is in our souls? It's our right as humans, right? Because if you think about it, we are a spark. We're a tiny little spark of our creator, right? And the creator is all about compassion. It's about love. We are compassion. We are love. We just have to tap into it. So this is what, I'm suggesting here. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about cacao. So this is cacao beans. I actually bought the raw beans so that I could show.
I just have to tell you, I have to tell you something. I'm a chocoholic. Any of my old friends will tell you, that know me for very, very long. One of my oldest friends in Toronto will tell you, I'm literally, when, I live in Israel, and I just got to share this. I know it's crazy, but I only eat chocolate that's organic and 70% above, but I must have a magnesium deficiency, right?
We all do.
Or a zinc deficiency. But what's amazing is that I bring back, every time I come, I bring back literally a half a suitcase of chocolate that comes from facilities that are peanut free, etc., because I'm allergic to that stuff. So I would love to experience this cacao ceremony.
Right. So this is a little bit different. This is the base for chocolate, right? So the chocolate that we eat, even the 70 or 80% that we get from a factory or a store,
Right.
It is processed. It's processed. They add certain things to it to make it more palatable and more stick together. A ceremonial grade cacao is different in a way that it's fermented and pasted only with water. It's fermented under banana leaves for a certain number of days.
Wow.
It's picked by villagers usually, most often, unless it's commercially produced. I don't normally use those products. The product that I use is from a certain company, which I love. It is produced in Ecuador by a beautiful village of people. And it's just cacao and water. It is beautiful in nature because it does really open up the heart. It does bring people into their feminine state, right? Because we do have, as women, we're supposed to be tapped into our feminine, right? So what does that mean, feminine? Feminine means that not only we're dressing as women, not only we have feminine hair or feminine looks or we wear perfume that's feminine, but there are things about us, there are traits that are feminine, right? Like, what are those traits? So some of those traits are going with the flow. What are the other feminine traits?
I would say being
Intention, right? Setting intentions. Manifestation is a very feminine idea, right? We as women, we're not supposed to be hustling every day, worrying about money, getting things done. And unfortunately, in our society, we've come to that point where we're constantly doing that, right? So what cacao does is that it actually brings us out of that doing mode into the being mode so that we could just be, right? It relaxes the heart. It opens up the heart chakra. Some people will feel a little bit of sadness. They will feel a little bit of trauma, but nothing major because it is not a psychedelic medicine, right? And as someone who works with other psychedelic medicines, I find cacao to be an amazing heart opener and a good starter, right? Along with breath work, along with meditation, along with sound healing, along with many other things that I personally incorporate into my ceremonies. But I know everybody does cacao differently and every facilitator is different. But what I love about it,
does it have to be live? Like, would you be able to ever do like a cacao ceremony on Zoom with us? Would that work or it wouldn't?
so I like to serve everybody the same cacao. So when I'm sitting in a group of women in person with them, I'm actually sitting there with them. I'm drinking the cacao with them. We're all doing this together. It's a ceremonial space where there's usually about 15 to 20 women, depending on the.
I heard it's becoming very, very popular. Like, it's really becoming something that women really want to do.
Yes, it is very popular. And the reason that I keep doing it is because I keep getting asked to do it over and over and over again. And usually people will come to one ceremony and they'll report back and I get text all day. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I've never felt like that. Or so much came up for me. How do I integrate? Or somebody texted me the other day after a ceremony and she says, I actually now can connect to my baby while I'm nursing him. I've never had that. I'm a mother of 5. I was never able to connect. And today I'm able to just sit with my baby and I feel my baby. I connect heart to heart with my baby. And so I get all these texts all day and I'm like, great, so bring it on. This is doing something, right?
So Kathy, what exactly could you just take us through a little bit how the ceremony works?
Sure. So every ceremony is different. I just incorporate different elements. Usually I bring it with me. I prepare it at home. It's usually served in a cup. I bring cups and it tastes like a very, very intense hot, like a dark, intense hot cocoa, prepared with cinnamon, salt. I use dates. I use cardamom.
Wow.
Sometimes I use cayenne pepper, depending on what people want. Sometimes I will do, depending on, who's coming, and I usually know my people by now. I started even adding adaptogenic mushrooms to certain, like if somebody wants it, I'll do that. And that's also very grounding for most women. So it's very different every time. And what I do is I serve it to the group, including myself. We set an intention. It is about setting intentions. It is about manifestation, right? Because we can say, all the things that we want, but if we're not sitting there with an open heart, we won't be able to receive them. So
Wow.
Cacao is like, okay, let's see what we're able to receive today just by being.
Wow.
And so we sit in that space, and then and then I will take everybody through a meditation. Sometimes it's just a heart opening meditation. Sometimes it's geared towards healing the inner child. I'll go very, very deep into doing an inner child, meditation style thing. And sometimes will be transgenerational traumas, which is also very powerful. So it's really different every time.
And you do some sound healing in it too sometimes,
Yeah,
Kathy?
so towards the end of the meditation, I have my sound bowls that I bring with me. And as I'm talking, or even afterwards while people are lying down, I'm just going over with them with the sound bowls. And people report back to me that really does open them up. I recently started, bringing the sound healing, and I find that people are able to relax more and they are able to let go more, because there's something about sound healing, the frequency of sound through the body that allows the body to just release and let go. Usually there is some stretching, there is some movement. Usually it's more of a feminine style movement, freestyle, just moving with music, with feminine music. And sometimes there's a lot of dancing. If I'm doing a trance dance, a Cacao and trance dance, and there'll be a lot of dancing and there'll be Middle Eastern, there'll be regular Ashkenazi or Hasidic music, depending on who I'm serving. I really serve many different groups of people. I'm very diverse in my work. I serve people I'll get people in my ceremonies who aren't Jewish sometimes, and then I'll get people who are very, very Hasidic, Hasidic women from Monroe or Williamsburg, because I have that population as well. So I really gear it towards who I'm serving.
Can I ask you something? Like, because dancing, that sort of dancing is very somatic, right? It's really letting go of all the things in your body. Do you find like there's a difference between the different communities? Like, do you find that some people, it's harder for them to do that, or there's more stored up in the body because of more, restriction or anything like that, Kathy?
Absolutely. So when I first started, I have a practice in Brooklyn, specifically in Williamsburg, and I serve many, many Hasidic women. And so when I started doing these kind of stuff for, the Hasidim, I found that they had a very hard time moving the hips, moving the arms, moving in a feminine way. And I think a lot of it has to do with culturally being told you can't move, you can't do this is not snake, you can't express in this way, or you shouldn't do this, right? So there's a lot of that. But as I went along, what I'm getting now is that those are the women that are actually asking me for this kind of music. Those are the women that are opening up. They're the ones that are, asking me to do, oh, can you do that Spanish song from like 2 weeks ago? And I'm like, I'm like, you sure you want that? I always have to be very careful because I don't want to step on someone else's toe and I don't want to offend someone else. And so I find that once people get into that mode, they just get into it. They don't want to get out of it. But it's something that we can all relate to. We can all relate to dance and movement. It is very somatic. It is very good it's very healing, right?
Right. So how would you say the effects of trauma is on the heart energetically? Like how would you describe how that energetically affects us and what it does to us?
Sure. So energetically, like I mentioned before, sometimes we always say like we want this or we want that. Like I hear women all the time saying, I want my husband to be more romantic. I want him to tell me certain things. I want him to compliment me more. I want him to buy flowers, or I want him to buy me this ring, right? And the question always is, I understand you want it, but are you actually open to receiving it? Right?
Wow.
Because many women are very closed up in their hearts energetically, and they may not be aware of it. So what happens is we build a wall, energetic wall around the heart in order to protect ourselves, whether it's from trauma, whether it's from getting hurt again, maybe we had a heartbreak at some point, or maybe we don't feel like it's appropriate to receive, right? Many of us culturally, we're reared in a way that it's not needless to ask. It's not okay to want. You're supposed to just be here and just provide. You're supposed to be just a wife. You're supposed to be just a mother. It's not okay to want, but we do have our needs, right? We have our physical needs. We have our emotional needs, and we can't deny that about ourselves.
Right.
Right. So energetically, it will actually feel like a wall around the heart. And I feel this a lot when I sit with people I'm also psychic. So when I'm sitting with someone and doing a meditation with them, I will feel into their heart. And sometimes they'll describe their heart as hard or spongy or dark in color. And I will actually feel that within my own heart, within my own body. And so once they get to feel that, then they take the responsibility and then they do the work as to seeing what caused it and then opening it up. And then they can allow, and then they can accept.
Wow, it's so true. It's so beautiful what you're saying. It's just so unbelievably beautiful. I can't tell you. So in that, what ways can we allow, how do we get into that more divine self by allowing us to enter into that place more, and understanding that the feminine is a beautiful thing? Like, people think we live in a culture, we think, but listen what you said, feminine is allowing, feminine is being, feminine is nurturing, feminine is I always say we are the potential, we potentialize everything around us. We create everything around us, right? We have babies. We create life. We support our children. We take care of our parents. It's the women. Really think about it. It's the women. We take care of our parents as they age. We take care of our children. We potentialize them, right? Yes. We take care of our husbands. Like, so how do we get into those places of real, of divine, of feeling, of doing it and feeling okay about it, Kathy, like being okay and accepting it and being loving and compassionate towards it? Like, how would you say?
So I personally do a lot of inner child work in my practice, because I find that, again, we can do all the coaching in the world and we can convince ourselves that we can accept and want and go get this and do this board, and right, because we're all about getting things done and making what's it called, the manifestation board or whatever you call it. But a lot of times we actually stopped ourselves when we were children, right? And that's what trauma does. And I find that many people that were traumatized somewhere along the line, they may not be aware of it, but somewhere along the line, we start to believe that I'm not worthy, or that I'm not safe, or that I have to hide, or that I have something to be ashamed of, right? And so I'm not worthy of receiving. I'm not worthy of having. I am better if I'm not seen and heard and paid attention to, right? Many of us operate on this level. And so doing good inner child work in therapy or in a ceremonial space, or even people can do this on their own, right? There's ways of doing inner child in a meditation on your own. That's where we need to go. We need to go deep down into where it started, how it started, right? Where we blocked ourselves, how things got blocked for us. And that's where we need to look.
So interesting. So we'd love you to take us. First of all, my question to you is, Kathy, let's say people in the 5 towns, like I live in Israel, so it's not going to be possible until I'm going to make you visit, and then I'm going to put together a cacao ceremony.
Yes.
but let's say people in the 5 towns or somewhere else in New York, because I know you're near there. How would they access? Would you let's say if they would contact you, I'm going to share your information with the group, but if they contact you, would you come in and, like, if they get 15 women together, would you do a ceremony like that?
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. I just get contacted by people, sometimes strangers out of nowhere, who will tell me so and so their friend came to a ceremony and loved it, and she would love to do one, and it just materializes that way. It's almost like Hashem is just taking me where I need to go, and I go as far as Miami,
Amazing.
I go as far as Muncie.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it
And
happens. I
I
don't
have
even have
one
the
last question
time.
before you take us into a meditation. I wanted to ask you, when you left Iran, these things always fascinate me, like unbelievably, because what people go through and what their experiences are. Did your family have to flee, Kathy? Was it like a fleeing sort of thing?
So my family had applied, just like a lot of Iranians, we kept applying for many years, over and over again, almost every month, for a visa to go to America. And finally, we were accepted and they gave us the visa. So I was able to go on a plane with my mother, my younger sister. So first it was me, my mother, and my sister. We traveled to Austria. And then from Austria, we had to get a refugee status to come into the US. And then my brother, who is a year and a half older than me, ended up escaping illegally through the border because he was a soldier age boy, and they were not allowing soldier age Jewish boys to leave the country because they wanted to use them in the front lines. So he had to escape, and then my father had to pretty much just consolidate everything we had and come, and he joined us a couple of months later in Austria, and then we all came together. So it was definitely a journey.
So would you say, like today, for example, would you say that most Iranians can't get out? Like there's just no way to get out today?
I highly doubt it, because I think there was a cutoff point. I believe 3 years ago, there was a rumor going around. This is what I was just told, that this is it. Like either go out now or you'll never be able to. And many of them actually decided to stay.
But why
So,
did people want to stay? That's my big question.
because when you have a life there, your life is there, you've been raised there, your parents were raised there, your grandparents were raised there, right? And you have a pretty good life. I mean, for the most part, they're well-to-do, they're wealthy, they have businesses. What would they accomplish by going to the United States? Their money is worth nothing, right? This is what
But
happened to us. We also came, with a decent amount of assets and money, but when we came here, we had nothing, because it equaled to zero. The economy is so down that there's nothing that's worth it.
right, money is worthless. But I
Yeah.
know that the Iranians are very supportive of each other outside of Iran. I know that the
Yeah.
community is really like helps each other. I know there's a Syrian communities like that.
Yes.
I'm always so in awe of that. The way it really, I want to tell you, I always say the bracha that the Syrian and Iranian community has, and I
Yeah.
believe like a lot of physical bracha they have. And I really believe it's because you help each other and you support each other. And it's something so beautiful to see. And it really shows you that bracha is in the helping. It's not like when we do it separately and we think, but you guys are really unbelievable this way.
Well, we have to be, because think about it. When you're a nation of 20,000 Jews in a country where everybody else is against you, you have to stick together, right? And that's how we've operated for hundreds of years, right? I feel like with Syrians, even more so. They're even more so like close knit. They're more into each other. They marry each other more.
I know.
Persians are a little bit more diverse, especially now. But this was the way of survival for us. So we don't really know it any other way.
Wow. It's so unbelievable. It's really I'm always so moved. I'm telling you, Kathy. It was so I want you to take us now through a meditation, but it just moves me like how evolved and how things are evolving in life and how the Jewish woman is evolving. And like if you look at Rebbetzin Tamar Tabak, who teaches the whole
Yes.
feminine, how the whole feminine is coming out now in the proper way,
Yeah.
in the the Torah way, not in the extreme ways, but in the authentic, in the authentic true way. And it's just so beautiful to see it. You're just doing such incredible work.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants you to come to them. So I'm going to share your thing, but can you take us through a meditation now?
Of course, yeah. So would you say how much time do I have?
How much time do you need?
I would say probably around 7, 8, maybe 10 minutes the most.
Okay, I'm giving you that.
I'll try to do a simple one. I am very somatic in my meditation, especially I know that many people may not be used to it, so I try to stay very simple. I'm gonna try to go into the heart. I do have my oil here. I love essential oils.
Which one did you just use? I'm just curious.
This is my favorite one. It's RC from Young Living.
Oh, wow.
I use it a lot, and I find that it really does open up the energy. So with that, I just encourage everybody to sit how you're sitting, with your feet flat on the floor. And just notice where you're at, even with your eyes closed. Starting with the outside of yourself, the outside of your body. Starting to pay attention to all the noises around you, or the silence. And as you bring your awareness to the sounds and the background noises, once again, grounding your feet on the floor, both feet on the floor, feeling your toes heavy on the floor. And at this time, you may allow all of your attention and all of your focus to go inwards, as if you're conjuring up all your energy that may have been outside of you now to bring inside of yourself. Starting to pay attention to the eyes and your eye sockets. Becoming aware of your cheeks and the facial muscles. Allowing the teeth to feel heavy, resting on your jaw. And allowing the jaw to fall. Letting go. And as you become aware of your neck muscles, the front of your neck, the back of your neck, noticing any tension, any heaviness, or any sensations within the neck. And all you're doing during this practice is noticing. And as you start to scan yourself down into your shoulders, becoming aware of your upper shoulders, becoming aware of the back of the shoulders, scanning yourself down all the way to your arms, into your fingertips, and perhaps allowing the fingertips to feel heavy on your lap or on the couch or the chair, however you're sitting. And as you bring your attention back up into your body, this time I want you to allow yourself to roam around your heart, beginning to bring all of your focus and attention to your heart. Noticing what it feels like in and around the heart. Noticing and sensing any sensations such as heaviness, tension, expansion, openness, tightness, or any other sensations you may feel in the heart. And just for a moment, allowing yourself to hold space, holding space for whatever it is that's coming up for you, whether it's a physical sensation, whether it's an emotion coming up through the heart. Reminding yourself of complete non-judgmental practice. And as you avert your attention from the heart, starting to bring the attention into the other organs, becoming aware of the kidneys, the liver, your digestive system. Notice what it feels like in your stomach. Perhaps there are butterflies. Perhaps it's digesting food or coffee. And perhaps there are feelings that are coming up within the stomach, within your gut. And just continue to scan yourself down all the way to your toes. Once again, feeling rooted and grounded. As you take a really, really big, deep breath into your heart, notice what comes up in the heart. And perhaps make a promise to yourself or an intention to do this kind of practice on your own every day, every other day. And notice you have everything inside of yourself that you need. You have all the resources inside of you to heal, to integrate, to help yourself and others around you. And when you're ready, starting to bring all of the attention back to your face and the crown of your head. Starting to move the fingers and toes. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes gently, looking around as if it's the first time you're seeing your environment.
I have to tell you that I want to open it up for questions, but we have to do tefillah, and it's so late. But I have to tell you, you have to come back because you're really a star.
Thank
And,
you.
no, I really want you to know that you're something so special. And the way that you give it over and your joy and your understanding and your acceptance, it's so beautiful. I feel so privileged. I'm so glad Jordana told me about you.
Thank
You're
you.
so
I'm so
unbelievable.
grateful for Jordana and you and this group.
And I cannot wait to experience one of these. I can just see how good you are, and
Yeah.
I'm going to share your information. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I
no,
wish more people, even greater numbers, were on that missed such an unbelievable, more like today, it's afternoon for me, but such an unbelievable, really something, you're unbelievable, really. You're something
thank
so
you.
special.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this
Kathy, thank you so
opportunity.
much. I'm going to share all your information.
Yeah. So
People,
also, I see that somebody just asked about the ceremony. I think the best way to get on, the best way to see my flyers for ceremonies and events and meditation workshops is to just join my WhatsApp group. So I'm going to send you that number. And then whoever wants to know, if anybody wants to host one, or if you just want to attend one and see what it's like, then you can get on my WhatsApp group and we can communicate that way. My
when are you
business
coming to Israel?
I don't know yet. It's so unpredictable right now. You know, it's like going to Israel is like one of those things, especially now
No,
with
it's
what's
actually
happening
not.
with
It's
the
the
election.
best thing. It's
What?
the best. We
It's the
need you
best.
here in Israel now. Specifically, there's a lot of trauma.
I know. I know. Okay, Bezat Hashem soon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you. It
Okay,
was
thank you.
incredible. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much. We're
much.
going to do this. Thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to share all your information.
Okay, thank